The scariest moment of my entire school life didn't start with screaming or alarms or police lights. It started with silence. The kind of silence that feels wrong. The kind that makes your stomach drop before your brain even understands why. Because one second, I was laughing with my friends in a classroom, and the next, the door was locked. The lights were off, and my teacher was whispering for us to hide. I've lived through 3 different school lockdowns, and each one still haunts me in a different way. So I need to ask you this right now before I even explain everything. If you were a student trapped in a school during a lockdown, and you heard footsteps outside your door, would you stay hidden, or would you try to escape? Tell me honestly, because that decision almost changed my life forever. The first lockdown happened when I was in middle school, back when lockdown drills still felt like annoying interruptions instead of rehearsals for real terror. That morning felt completely normal. I remember complaining about a math test, my backpack feeling too heavy, the smell of disinfectant in the hallway, all the boring details you never think will matter. Our classroom was on the 2nd floor, with big windows that overlooked the parking lot. Halfway through the lesson, the intercom crackled, and the principal's voice came on. But it wasn't calm like usual. It shook, just slightly, like he was trying very hard not to panic. He said, "Teachers, initiate lockdown procedures immediately. No explanation, no drill announcement. Just..." Our teacher froze for half a second, and that's how I knew this was real. She rushed to the door, locked it, turned off the lights, and pulled the blinds down so hard one of them snapped. She told us to get against the wall where the door couldn't see us. I remember squeezing between 2 desks with my best friend. My knees pressed into my chest, my heart pounding so loud I was convinced everyone could hear it. Outside, the hallway was dead quiet at first. Then we heard shouting. It was distant, muffled, but angry. Someone was yelling words I couldn't make out, followed by the sound of something hitting metal, over and over. Time stretched in a way I can't properly explain. 5 minutes felt like an hour. My mouth was so dry I could barely swallow. I kept thinking about my parents, about how I hadn't said goodbye properly that morning, about stupid things like the fact that my phone was at 12% battery. Then footsteps started coming down the hallway. Slow, heavy, not running, walking. Each step felt like a countdown. The footsteps stopped right outside our door. Someone tried the handle. It rattled. I remember my teacher covering her mouth with both hands to stop herself from gasping. The handle rattled again, harder this time. Then whoever it was let out a low laugh. I will never forget that sound. After a few seconds, the footsteps moved on. Eventually, police flooded the building, and we were escorted out with our hands visible. Just like you see on TV. Turns out, a former student had been trespassing, smashing lockers, and threatening staff with a metal pipe. No gun, they said. Like that made it better. That night, I didn't sleep at all. Every sound outside my window felt like footsteps in a hallway. I told myself it was a one-time thing. I was wrong. The second lockdown happened in high school. And this one was worse, because I understood exactly what was at stake. By then, we'd all seen the news. We all knew what lockdowns could mean. I was in chemistry class when it happened. The alarm didn't sound this time. Instead, teachers started bursting into rooms, whispering urgently. Our teacher locked the door and told us there was a threat in the area. Possibly armed. Possibly armed. Those 2 words echoed in my head like a siren. We hid under lab tables, the chemical smell burning my nose. Someone's phone buzzed, and the girl next to me started silently crying. Then we heard sirens outside, dozens of them, overlapping and chaotic. Helicopter blades thumped overhead. My phone lit up with messages from my mom asking if I was okay, if I was safe, if I was hiding. I didn't reply because I was terrified the light would give us away, even though that didn't make logical sense. At some point, we heard a loud bang from the other side of the building. Someone screamed. I don't know if it was a student, or a teacher, or just my imagination filling in the blanks. About 40 minutes into the lockdown, someone knocked on our door. 3 slow knocks. Then a voice said, "It's okay, open up." Our teacher didn't move. She whispered for us to stay silent. The knocking happened again, harder this time, followed by the same voice, slightly angrier. "Open the door." My heart was trying to escape my chest. We had been taught that police would have keys, that they wouldn't ask students to open doors. The voice sighed, muttered something, and walked away. Later we learned it had been a student trying to get into classrooms. Not the actual threat, but in that moment. All I knew was that someone had been right there, and if we'd opened the door, anything could have happened. The threat turned out to be a man with a gun spotted near the campus, who was arrested before entering the building. But that didn't erase the fear. It just taught me how thin the line between safety and disaster really is. By the time the 3rd lockdown happened, I was a senior, and I thought I was numb to it all. I was wrong again. This one didn't involve shouting or sirens at first. It started with a text message. Someone in my class showed me their phone, wide-eyed, and it was a screenshot of a social media post from an anonymous account threatening the school by name, giving a specific time. 10 minutes later, the lockdown was announced. This time, the fear felt different, colder, more deliberate. We all knew someone had planned this. We barricaded the door with desks. I remember the scraping sound against the floor, how loud it felt in the quiet room. The lights were off, and the only illumination came from the green glow of exit signs through the window in the door. We sat there for over an hour. No updates, no reassurance, just waiting. I kept thinking about how this might be the day everything ended, how strange it was that life could just stop in the middle of a random school day. So that was the situation I was in. 3 different times, 3 different schools. 3 moments where my life felt like it was hanging by a thread. Before I tell you what happened next in that final lockdown, I want you to pause for a second and really think about it. If you were sitting in that dark classroom, barricaded behind desks, knowing someone had threatened to hurt people, would you trust the system to protect you, or would you try to make a run for it if you saw an opening? Comment what you would have done, because the choice I made still messes with my head. About 90 minutes in, the fire alarm suddenly went off. Not the lockdown alarm, the fire alarm. Red lights flashing, that piercing sound echoing through the halls. Panic rippled through the room. Some students stood up, others froze. We'd been told never to leave during a lockdown, but what if there was a fire? What if this was another trap? Our teacher hesitated, clearly torn between 2 impossible options. Then we heard footsteps running, shouting in the hallway, and the sound of something crashing. That's when the door handle started shaking violently. Someone was trying to force it open. Our teacher shouted for us to stay back. The desks held, barely. The shaking stopped, replaced by heavy breathing right outside the door. Then a voice whispered, "Help me." I still don't know if that voice was real or if fear warped my memory, but it sounded young, scared, and desperate. No one moved. No one spoke. After a few seconds, the breathing faded, and the footsteps Eventually, the alarm stopped, and police announced themselves over a megaphone. We were escorted out again, hands visible, hearts shattered. The threat that time turned out to be a hoax. A sick joke posted online by a student who thought they were being funny. The fire alarm had been pulled by someone panicking. No one was hurt physically, but something in me broke that day. I realized how fragile safety really is. How quickly normal life can turn into a nightmare, and how those moments never fully leave you. Even now, years later, sudden loud noises make my chest tighten, and silence in a crowded place still makes my skin crawl. Looking back, I don't know if I made the right choices every time. I don't know if staying hidden was braver than running, or if it was just luck that kept me alive. All I know is that those lockdowns changed the way I see the world forever. They taught me that fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in a quiet hallway outside a locked door. If you are on my side and think I did the right thing by staying put, like this video, if you think you would have handled it differently, tell me why in the comments, because I genuinely want to know. Subscribe for more stories like this, real experiences that still echo in my head, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess down below. I'll see you all